Hi guys, Mr. Shortino here. In a couple days in April, we have a very special holiday, and that holiday has to do with the way our Earth is and how we have to make sure that we take care of our Earth and protect it and treat it with kindness. Because of course, if we're not kind to our Earth will not be kind to us. That is Earth Day, and because of that, I wanted to do a teacher read aloud that talks about how to protect our Earth and the perils of pollution. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce one of my favorite authors and one of my favorite books. This is called The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. Does that look like a place that you'd want to live? Or there? Or how about even visit? And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows? The Old Once-Ler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. You won't see the Once-Ler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffered moof. And on special dank midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather's snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snub, his secret strange hole in his grovelous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper-ma-phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slop. Down slops the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Once-Ler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose.
Now I'll tell you,
He says, with his teeth sounding gray.
how the Lorax got lifted and taken away.
It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean. And the song of the Swami swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the Truffula Trees, the bright-colored tufts of the Truffula Trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. Now, does that look like a place you'd want to live or visit? And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots, frisking about in their barbaloot suits, as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. Again, looks like a place you'd want to be, right? But those trees, those truffula trees. All my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop, and with a great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft, and I knitted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt. It's a sock. It's a glove. It's a hat. But it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong. For just at that minute, a chap came along. And he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor silly guy, you never can tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up, if you please. I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called on my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Once-Ler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken. Sharp right at South Stitch. And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Once-Ler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds, just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of Truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my Super X Hacker, which whacked off 4 Truffula trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits, and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round, and my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. See the barbaloots? How do you think the barbaloots feel right now? How do you think the Lorax feels right now? And how do you think the Once-Ler feels right now? They love living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I had the Once-Ler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. So what kind of person do you think the Once-Ler is? Do you think he's a very nice person? Do you think he's a caring person? What kind of a person do you think the Lorax is? Do you think the Lorax is a caring person? I think so. I meant no harm. I most truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads. Of the thneeds I shipped out, I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. What do you notice about the stuff that's coming from the factory? Does that look clean? What do you notice about the color of the sky? What do you notice about the color of the grass? Does it look the same as before? And if not, why do you think? Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax, he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled, he snargled, he sniffed. Once-Ler, he cried with a cruffulous croak. Once-Ler, you're making such smogulous smoke. My poor swanny swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat. So what's wrong with the swanny swans? I think maybe the air pollution, the smoke. Does this look like a place you'd want to be in right now? And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smoggered around here. Again, do you think the Lorax sounds like a person who is a caring person? And then how do you feel about the Once-Ler? Do you think he sounds like a caring person? How do you feel about the Swami Swans? What's more, snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, let me say a few words about Gluppity-Glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making Gluppity-Glup, also Schloppity-Schlop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Once-Ler man, you. What do you think happens to all of that? You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, the future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. So what's happening to all the water? All the oil and all the fuel that they're using is all making the water really gunged up. Does that look like a place that you would want to swim in? How about drink from? How do you think they feel? How do you think the Lorax feels? And how do you think the Once-Ler feels? And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yappy yap and say, bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering. Turning more Truffula Trees into thneeds, which everyone needs. Now look. Is that a place you'd want to live? What do you think happened from the beginning of the story till right now? And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last Truffula tree of them all. What happened to all the trees? Did the Once-Ler use them all? No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts, every one, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smothered stars. Now all that was left, neath the bad-smelling sky, was my big empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad, sad backward glance, as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face. Then he hoisted himself and took leave of this place, through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. He went from here to there. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all my heart. What do you think unless means? But now, says the Once-Ler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Once-Ler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds, and truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. So the story that we just read is really important, and it's important because it talks about how you have to take care of this world. If you don't take care of this world, we're not going to have it much longer. As you could see from the beginning of the story, when it was bright and sunny and beautiful and very pretty, how it turned into something that was completely not. And what was powering that? If you think about it, what did the Once-Ler want? He wanted things. He was greedy. And he wanted to get money, 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 money. And if you think about the Lorax, did the Lorax want money? He really didn't. What was he about? He was about keeping everything nice and clean and safe for everybody. So if you think about it, just make sure that whatever you do in this world, you treat it with care. Because if you don't, it's not going to last much longer. All right, well, something to think about, and hopefully you have a wonderful Earth Day. And a great thing to do would be to go out and plant some seeds, to grow some flowers or trees or anything that you can think of that would help the Earth. I did my job. I have my flowers over here. I'll show you. See? All right, so you have yourself a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.